Hey guys, what's good? Derek here from B.O.M Socks with more B.O.M Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ one bite at a time. So as we're finishing up this week of the Come Follow Me, we've got chapters 9 and 10, which we haven't covered yet. I personally think chapter 10 really lends itself and leads into what Nephi gets to see next week. So I want to spend some time just in chapter 9 today. And it's a short chapter, just like kind of what we started with chapter 6. Chapter heading, Nephi makes two sets of records. Each is called the Plates of Nephi, which is kind of cool. The larger plates contain a secular history or more of a worldly one. The smaller plates deal primarily with spiritual things. And Nephi goes in and he explains the purposes of both of these particular sets of plates. Verse 5, wherefore the Lord commandeth me to make these plates, meaning these two plates, for a wise purpose in him, which purpose I know not. So basically what Nephi is doing, he's writing down the same thing. One of them just deals with a little bit more secular things. One of them deals with a little bit more spiritual things. Now, verse number 6 has one of the greatest statements ever, but the Lord knoweth all things from the beginning. Wherefore he prepareth a way to accomplish all his works among the children of men. For behold, he hath all power unto the fulfilling of all his words. And thus it is, amen. Nephi is just like, I don't know why I am doing these things, but the Lord knows all things. I don't need to know the details. I talked about this last week, how Nephi is very content moving forward, not necessarily knowing all the details. He just knows that God is in charge. We heard about that in chapter 4, where he talks about how I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things that I should do. That is called acting in faith. And Nephi is acting in faith here in this chapter as well. I'm making two sets of plates. That couldn't be an easy thing to do. Etching into these plates was probably not as easy as you and I just shooting a text to someone, right? So he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but God knows. After the fact, you and I know one of the things you can connect this chapter to is section 3 of the Doctrine and Covenants, where it says, revelation given to Joseph Smith the prophet, Harmony, Pennsylvania, July 1828, relating the loss of the 116 manuscript pages translated from the first part of the Book of Mormon, which was called the Book of Lehi. The prophet had reluctantly allowed these pages to pass from his custody to that of Martin Harris, who had served for a brief period as a scribe in the translation of the Book of Mormon. Revelation was given through the Urim and Thummim. So if the Lord had said to Nephi, the reason I'm having you do these plates is because in a couple thousand years, there's going to be a little bit of a misunderstanding. Joseph Smith's going to be, I don't even know that you know his name right now. There's a guy named Martin Harris who shows up. He's older, but Joseph trusts him a little bit. Martin gives the manuscript to his wife, Lucy, who wasn't quite sure what. Can you imagine God trying to explain all of that to Nephi? And Nephi just sitting there going, okay, yeah, what? So all of my life's work is going to be lost? You can see the stress that could provide. And so I love the fact that Nephi is just like, look, I just trust that God knows what he is doing. Now, back in that section 3 of the Doctrine and Covenants, 1, 2, and 3 testify as an added witness of what Nephi talked about in chapter 9. The works and designs and the purposes of God cannot be frustrated, neither can they come to naught, for God doth not walk in crooked paths. I love that, how God doesn't vary from the right hand or to the left. He doesn't turn there. He's not a distracted God. Neither doth he vary from that which he has said. Therefore, his paths are straight. His course is one eternal round. And this verse, remember, it is not the work of God that is frustrated, but the work of men. So I love how Nephi back in chapter 9 is just like, you know what? I don't understand all the details, but I do know this. God is in charge. I think that attitude will bless our lives in so many different ways, in so many settings. Just that idea of just like, I don't know why I am going through these things, and I don't know if I need to know why. In some ways, we think it would be nice to know why, but imagine Nephi understanding all of those things. I don't know if that would have changed the fact that Nephi acted in faith. This is just another one of those examples where I don't know all things, but I know that God knows all things, and I will trust him, and I will believe that he knows what he is doing. I don't have a distracted God. I have a God who is focused, and that loving, wonderful God is going to help me in situations that I don't fully understand. That takes faith, and like I said, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I love Nephi's example in chapter 9. Lord knows all things, and I'm okay with that. I love that kind of faith, and I hope and pray that I can have that kind of faith as well. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing these messages. We're so grateful that you do that. And if you like what you see, click the like button, and you've got to go check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.